It's the holidays, and I thought this year I'd make everyone a batch of my homemade mak kimchi, which is simple kimchi. So I'm going to show you how to make this mak kimchi step by step. The last time I made this mak kimchi recipe, and I made it just for myself, it was gone in 11 days. So let's make some kimchi together.
Step 1. Identify the cute butt of your napa cabbage. Cut a small slit with your knife and then use your bare hands to split the cabbage in half. The kimchi gods will reward your efforts with beautiful interior cabbage leaves. Repeat step 1 on each half to make quarters of the cabbage head. Now you can finally chop them into bite-sized pieces. Step 2, make the salt brine using Korean coarse sea salt. If you don't have Korean salt, you can of course use coarse kosher salt. Add your salt to some water and mix it by hand or with a spoon until the salt dissolves. Step 3, add 1/4 of your chopped cabbage leaves into a very large bowl. Sprinkle with more salt and then add some of your brine. Repeat this 3 more times until all your cabbage is salted and brined. It's going to seem like a lot of salt, but trust me, the salt isn't there just to provide saltiness, but also to help pickle the cabbage leaves. Once the cabbage leaves are finished pickling, we're going to rinse off the vast majority of that salt.
I'm going to let this sit for at least 30 minutes before we give it another zhuzh.
For the next 3 to 6 hours, every 30 minutes, you're going to zhuzh, which is a technical term, your cabbage leaves until they're sufficiently pickled. The amount of time will depend almost exclusively on how thick your cabbage leaves are. How will you be able to tell? It's when your cabbage leaves can bend a lot more than that without breaking.
It's time to make the sauce.
Making the kimchi sauce is extremely easy, but it's also my favorite part. It's the one part of the kimchi recipe where you can really tailor the flavor of your kimchi to your taste. I like my kimchi on the sweeter side, so I'm adding a Fuji apple as well as Korean pear. Now, both of these fruits aren't just for flavor. They're also going to help with the fermentation of your kimchi. In addition to the fruit, I'm also going to add some regular onion as well as some scallions. All of the items I just mentioned will be pureed together with a ton of garlic and a little bit of ginger. In addition to the puree, I'm also going to add some Korean chives, which looked really fresh at the Korean grocery store, Korean radish, as well as a ton of carrots. With the carrots, you do want to julienne them as thinly as possible, and this can take a little practice. When I first started making my own kimchi, my mom would often offer to julienne the carrots for me, which is how I knew I really needed to get better at it. Here are all of the vegetables and fruits for our sauce, and here are my perfectly julienned carrots. Amma would be proud. In addition to the fruit, I'm also going to be adding some plum syrup to my sauce. If you don't have plum syrup, you can add brown rice syrup, you can add even maple syrup, and of course you can always just add cane sugar. It's been about 3.5 hours and my cabbage leaves look ready to go. Remember, this is what it looked like before. It wouldn't bend, but now it bends a lot. As promised, we're going to rinse the cabbage leaves in cold water to get rid of all that excess salt. You don't want to get rid of all the salt, of course, because that salt will be necessary in fermentation and the saltiness will dissipate over time. Next, we're going to make the rice glue, or puree, by mixing together a little bit of water and sweet white rice flour until it looks like, well, a glue. To a massive bowl, I'm going to add my puree as well as that puree or rice glue and my homemade vegan fish sauce. If you don't have my homemade vegan fish sauce, you can just use a very strong soy sauce. This is the gochugaru my mom gave to me when I went home to Chicago a few weeks ago. She brought it directly from her favorite farm in South Korea. It's extremely spicy. People often ask me, well, what does kimchi taste like? Good kimchi, in my opinion, should have 4 different flavors. It should be a little bit salty, it should be very tart, it should be a little sweet, and this version is going to be spicy. The sauce is ready, the cabbage leaves have been rinsed. It's time to put it all together. I do like to use gloves for this only because both the salt and the Korean chili powder, it can burn your hands. Kimchi making, even this simple kimchi making, can entail quite a workout. I think this is why in Korea, a lot of people do kimjang or kimchi making in big groups.
Small piece. That is outstanding.
The final step in kimchi making, of course, is storage. Storage is important because how you store your kimchi is going to affect how well it ferments. First, you want to make sure you press down on your kimchi to get rid of too many air pockets. Second, you want to make sure that the top is covered in sauce to prevent the formation of yeast. Finally, keep your homemade kimchi at room temperature for the first 24 hours and then place it in the fridge. You can enjoy it whenever you want. I'll probably eat this entire jar within the next hour. Homemade kimchi is, I think, a really great gift. I know I would be so happy if someone gave me their homemade kimchi. As you can see, kimchi making isn't a small task. It takes several hours and a lot of physical labor. But in addition to all the time and effort, each batch of kimchi is going to contain inside of it all the many years and hours I've been studying and practicing and learning from my mother and my aunts. I hope this video has inspired you to try making kimchi at home in your own kitchen. And if you like this video, do me a favor, hit subscribe, like, and comment below. Happy holidays!